Spark something uncommon this holiday with just the right gift from Uncommon Goods. The busy holiday season is here, and Uncommon Goods makes it less stressful with incredible hand-picked gifts for everyone on your list, all in one spot. Gifts to spark joy, wonder, delight, and that's exactly what I wanted feeling. Hey, y'all, I ordered a super cool piece. It's a candle with a sculpture of LSU's Tiger Stadium on top of it. And each officially licensed laser cut wooden replica features up to 4 layers of detail, creating a bird's eye view of a specific football field, seating section, and more. And every label includes your stadium's name, the team's logo, and school location. And it has a coconut, soy, vegan wax infused with sandalwood smell that creates tailgates and touchdown scent profile, reminiscent of game day. It's invigorating like fresh cut grass and nostalgic like smoke from a pre-game grill, and calming like the crisp autumn air of a new semester on campus. Y'all, I love it. I have it at the base of my TV, and I'm ready to watch the Tigers play on Saturday night, right? Uncommon Goods. Look, when you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. And many of their handcrafted products are made in small batches. So shop now before they sell out this holiday season. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. They have the most meaningful, out of the ordinary gifts anywhere. They even have gifts you can personalize. From holiday hosts and hostess gift to the coolest finds for kids to hits for everyone from the book lovers to diehard sports fans. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, not the same old selections you can just find anywhere. And with every purchase you make at Uncommon Goods, they give $1 to a nonprofit partner of your choice. They've donated more than $3 million to date. So to get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/RLRC. That's uncommongoods.com/RLRC for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods, we're all out of the ordinary.
Hey everyone, and welcome to Real Life, Real Crime Daily for Wednesday, January 18th, 2023. And I'm Jim Chapman.
And I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino. Welcome back. I've got a surprise for you guys.
Lay it on us.
I'm ready.
Real Life, Real Crime Daily is the top crime commentary podcast in the United States.
What? That
Get out.
is freaking amazing. I'm fired up. I love it.
We're also the only, from what I can tell,
Womp, womp,
true crime commentary podcast in the United States. But
still
that
number
doesn't
one.
take anything away from us. We are still number one and climbing. Seriously, folks, your response to what we are doing has been fantastic up until now, and that's just motivating us to commit more and more to it and do it better and better and bigger and bigger. And so thank you very much.
Yeah, love, love, love.
We're going to start today off the way we start every episode off, by giving you updates on some of the stories we have been tracking closely, and none more closely than the continuing story as it evolves of the Idaho Murderers. Many of you probably spent your Friday night watching either Dateline or 2020 give their spin on these stories and go for the big ratings on the hot story. I was most struck in the Dateline episode by them turning to an expert, a true crime expert by the name of John Mathias, who is a forensic psychologist and host of the Hidden True Crime podcast, which in my estimation, my completely neutral, unbiased explanation, doesn't hold a candle to the Real Life, Real Crime True Crime podcast. And I'm just wondering what the heck is going on over at Dateline, Woody, where they would call this novice.
Maybe he was available because we had live shows Friday night.
There you go. Woody, unavailable. Unavailable. So instead, although we don't really know John Mathias, so we'll resist referring to him as a quack or a hack, but I wonder just how many cold cases he's solved.
Yeah.
While my friend over here continues to solve the crimes others could not. But to be fair, this guy did a pretty nice job summarizing what he thought the motivations of of Kohberger were in the crime. And Woody, he said, I think Kohberger is someone who had a lot of fantasies of revenge, a lot of violent and aggressive impulses over the years that have been weighing heavily on him and created a lot of anxiety and stress.
Yeah, well, I can tell you, like I said previously, I would be very shocked if they don't find more bodies on this guy. I know you don't just start out killing 4. No way.
And I think that seems to be the consensus from many experts is that, it's no secret Kohberger was overweight in high school and lost a bunch of weight, and they think that might have contributed to his arrogance and his hatred for women.
And he was picked on by a certain group of girls in high school before, and he started working out to try to become a Army Ranger, which he failed, I'd said that before. He was going to be ex-military or try to be a police officer and couldn't make it. This before his arrest, before we knew who he was. And it all fits into the profile.
Right.
But he's got something else on him, whether it's an attempted whatever, I don't know. But you just wait and see what they have and then what comes out.
Well, they also talked to a retired FBI agent and university professor by the name of Greg Rogers, who told them in an interview that Kohberger intentionally chose a combat knife to instill fear in the victims.
I think that's probably incorrect. I think he chose that knife because he knew when you're stabbing, that combat knife will help him not get injured. It's not like he's got a butter knife out of the kitchen, or steak knife he's going to cut his hand on when you're doing the force and your hand slides down. The K-bar has the hand guard. It's made for killing. It's made so you don't get injured.
That's right, Dateline. So next time around, if you reach out to a Woody Overton, you'll get an accurate assessment of why the particular murder weapon was chosen. Rogers went on to say that he believed Kohberger became obsessed with one of these victims.
And that's a probability. I mean, I don't think he was obsessed with all of them. I think he went in and killed who he had to kill till he got to the right victim.
Okay, fair, Jim?
I would agree with that.
They spent a lot of the episode talking to family members, classmates. One of the pieces I found most interesting from what they did was talking to 2 people who had been in a class where Kohberger was the TA, the teaching assistant. Mm-hmm. And one of them commented about what a jerk Kohberger was in terms of grading papers, that he was particularly harsh on the students, giving very low grades, that he was the kind of TA that was unapproachable and nobody after class would walk up to this guy to ask him questions.
That's his power position, his power play. Even then, he couldn't become a cop, couldn't do the military. So whatever aspect he can get to power triple on other people, being a TA, being a dickhead TA, that's just fits in with the profile in this cat.
Yeah, it was very important for him to show people he was smarter than they were.
Right.
And that he had the power to, in college, if you're a TA, you have the power to take away points and really affect someone's graduation just based off of your opinion of what they're doing. One
of his students said that his behavior changed dramatically in mid-November, which would tie to the crimes, obviously, and that he all of a sudden became a lot more reasonable and started giving out good grades to people on their papers following that date. Any assessment of that?
If he doesn't, I'm just thinking about it. If he doesn't have other bodies on him, he certainly has had the fantasy. But the thing being is, then he had a stressor. There's something that made him break and finally break through the fantasy part and do the killings. So it'd be interesting to see what they have. They have a whole hell of a lot more than what we know. And Dateline and get it right next time, give us a call.
They also spoke to another former FBI investigator who brought up the idea of Kohberger having what's known as an incel complex, which is the term incel is an abbreviation of involuntary celibate. It's generally used to refer to men who struggle to establish romantic or sexual relationships.
Can't get laid.
Yes.
I mean, it's not funny because this guy's an asshole, but hey, I wouldn't disagree with that.
I can't believe they have a term for that.
A term for being a little bitch.
Involuntarily celibate just means
you can't
get laid. And you want to, but you can't. It's not like he can't get an erection. He just can't get laid.
Well, we don't know that either.
Yeah.
He doesn't have any game.
Wow. Incel, huh?
Goes back to that Tinder date, I guess, right?
It goes with calloused hands as well.
Incel.
Unfortunately, it looks like we're not going to hear a lot about this case for quite a while here, as Kohberger waived his right to the expedited process and is not due in court again until, I think, June. So we're going to have to find some time to fill your evenings, Jim. You're not going to be able to trace his steps any longer. But we will follow it as further developments come. And once again, Dateline, next time around, you'll have an opportunity to bring in a real expert and get some real insight.
All right.
The second story we want to update is the story of our 6-year-old shooter in Norfolk, Virginia. If you remember, this is a first-grade student who shot his teacher. The good news is she is going to survive. Her condition is now stable. They have actually released her name, which we'll give to you in a minute here. But some interesting things have come out in the days since the shooting happened. Apparently, the school was alerted. School administrators were alerted to the probability that this particular student was bringing a weapon to school.
That's a problem.
Yeah.
Okay.
Maybe they believe, like everybody else in the world, that a 6-year-old can't get a firearm and bring it to school. But if they were alerted that
they were alerted he actually had the firearm at school. Someone at school was told this kid has a firearm and he didn't follow up on it.
Yeah.
Well, according to that superintendent, George Parker, that we mentioned last week, at least one administrator was notified of a possible weapon.
A lawsuit.
That and the student's backpack was reviewed when they got to school. So they searched the backpack of the student and did not find a weapon somehow.
Then they didn't search it good enough because he had a weapon and that person needs to be fired. Yeah. And everybody that knew that there was a possibility that he had a weapon and supposedly searched his backpack and didn't find it needs to be fired.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
Because how do you overlook a gun?
Yeah.
How do you overlook a gun?
I expect that this might be a CYA on their part, covering their ass by saying they even searched the backpack.
I don't believe it.
I mean, what's he got in an ankle holster and you missed it? I mean, come on.
Well, a spokesperson for Newport News Public School District, Michelle Price, told Fox News in an emailed statement that the boy's backpack had been searched after it was reported the student might have a weapon, but that no weapon was found at that point.
It was.
So
it was not.
We want to see the video. We want to see the
video
video of them searching that backpack.
This guy had a Johnny Dangerously in his backpack, and they missed it. I mean, you don't miss a gun in a 6-year-old's back. You pull everything out, and then you hold it, and a gun has weight to it.
I want to see the video of that backpack being searched.
Yeah,
I bet you they don't have it. You know why? Because it doesn't exist.
Yeah, this gun is like the Biden secret documents. No one knows how it got there because it's details about how they learned about the weapon, so who called in the tip or where it came from, and why it wasn't found before the shooting were not immediately available.
And whoever called it in, if they're an adult, why the fuck did they grab the weapon off of them? Or maybe if it's another student saw it and whatever. I don't get it. The whole thing baffles the shit out of me.
Well, our thoughts go out to the teacher, Abby Zwerner.
Absolutely.
Who was just a 25-year-old teacher who was shot. There was no warning or struggle before the boy aimed the gun at Zwerner. So the rumors of a confrontation must have occurred the day before or sometime before. And so he came to school with the specific idea of going right at her when he got his chance. The police chief, Steve Drew, described the shooting as intentional. The boy is being held at a medical facility following an emergency custody order. The judge will determine what is next. The 6-year-old used his mom's gun, which was purchased legally. So the gun was licensed by the mother. It remains unclear how he accessed the weapon, but under Virginia law, you are prohibited from leaving a loaded gun where it is accessible to a child under 14. That's a misdemeanor, but it certainly looks like Mama will be in a little bit of trouble.
We definitely will be hearing about moms getting arrested.
And the school, in their final announcement related to this, said they will be instituting mandatory metal detectors at all of the schools in the district. So we will have kindergartners and first
fucking
graders
world we live in
metal
when you
detectors.
kindergartners and first grader go through metal detectors.
Yeah, I know. And somebody, I just don't buy it that they search that backpack. I think I'm with Woody on that. That you're covering your ass, and that's the story, and they're sticking to it. But you cannot search a backpack and not find a gun in it. You have to pull everything out and then put everything back in, and you will find the gun if there's a gun in a backpack.
And how much shit can a first grader have in his backpack?
Right.
Right.
Yeah, and that's a major thing because that's an avoidable situation. And what pisses me off is now they're trying to cover it up.
Yeah.
You know, just fess up. You know that you didn't search the backpack. It's disgusting, really. Somebody could have been killed.
Crazy.
And you knew about it in advance.
Right.
Moving right along, folks, the first news story today is a story tied to yesterday's national holiday involving Martin Luther King Jr. and a $10 million statue dedication sculpture that was unveiled in Boston's famous Boston Common yesterday. And this thing is trending like you won't believe and is being referred to as the penis statue. So we are labeling this segment, "This should be a crime." So while this doesn't necessarily fit under our normal description of a crime story, we believe it should be a crime. $10 million spent to build a penis statue. Even some relatives of Coretta Scott King hate the new $10 million sculpture just dedicated to her and her iconic civil rights leader husband in Boston, with a cousin claiming, quote, "It looks like a penis." The massive bronze piece, entitled "The Embrace," features two sets of arms holding each other, an artistic interpretation of the classic photo of Coretta and hubby Martin Luther King Jr. hugging after he won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1964. The mainstream media was reporting on it like it was beautiful. I guess they were told they had to say that, said Seneca Scott, Coretta's cousin, referring to the new artwork in the Boston Common. But then it came out. A little boy pointed out, quote, "That's a penis." And everyone was like, "Yo, that's a big old dong, man," said a 43-year-old from Oakland, California.
That was actually me.
That might have been Jim. You guys have taken a look at this thing, haven't you?
Yeah, it's amazing. Amazing the stupidity of people. A little side note, I bodyguarded Coretta Scott King about 25 years ago when she came to be a guest speaker at Southeastern.
And, it's important to note that this $10 million statue, the sculptor for this is renowned. You know, it wasn't like they got somebody at the local high school, the art department to put this together.
Fuckers, $10 million. That better be Rodan.
You're right. So, and of course, Martin Luther King being just absolutely iconic and an amazing civil rights leader. We just did an episode yesterday on Bloody Angola featuring his letter from a Birmingham jail. So check that out. Yeah. But just an amazing, iconic figure, and some people are pretty wrapped up over this in some upsetting ways, and understandably so.
It's the $10 million dong. How long is it going to be till they take that bitch?
Yeah, I was going to say, in the spirit of the tearing down of statues across the U.S., I'm thinking this one will have a shorter shelf life than most. Right. It literally looks like an oral sex scene gone very wrong. So check it out online if you have.
How do you not?
You have not
check that shit. Your public leaders, a dedication ceremony and shit, and here it is, the dong.
Turning now to the great state of Alabama. An Alabama chiropractor was arrested and charged with allegedly attempting to kill his estranged wife by poisoning her with pills laced with lead. Brian Mann, age 34, was charged with attempted murder for intentionally causing his wife, Hannah Petty, 24, to unwittingly ingest particles of lead while the couple was going through a divorce.
He wasn't successful, first of all, and if you're going to give her lead, you should be like, kill him good, Mike?
He was partially successful. So beginning in January of last year, Petty, the wife, spent 2 months at the University of Alabama at Birmingham Hospital recovering from lead poisoning. So she had been poisoned. She filed for divorce 2 days after she was discharged, and the husband, Mann, was arrested in September. He allegedly gave his wife pills from the summer of 21 through the winter of 22 and told her they would strengthen her immune system.
Mm-hmm. My wife starts sporadically giving me pills and saying, here, they're going to strengthen your immune system. I ain't taking them. I'd be like,
Yeah.
This guy was figuring he was going to get away with this mastermind crime because he's accused of having 5 separate life insurance policies payable on his wife's death that had a collective death benefit of $1.3 million.
You know what? I'm not killing my wife for 1.3. No, maybe 1.4. No, just this guy's a fucking idiot. That to think you're not going to get caught and get, maybe he'll be very successful in prison as a chiropractor. Maybe some convicts needed some adjustments, right?
Well, let's ask our expert here that we have, the former homicide detective himself. Now, if you have a murder and you go to the home and it's the wife and the husband's alive and kicking and it's kind of strange, can't figure out why she died, what's the first thing you check? I would imagine
anything to do with their relationship. Was he having an affair? Financial troubles, anything like that.
And I'm sure at some point you check out the life insurance.
Oh yeah. That's part of it. You're going to dig deep into the finances.
Yep.
Well, here's the kind of brain surgeon we're dealing with. Yeah. So he's arrested in September and has taken out the 5 insurance policies for $1.3 million, but that wasn't good enough. So in December, 3 months after he's arrested, he applies to get an additional $1.5 million payable upon her death.
There you go. He's trying to crank it up.
Yeah, and here's the interesting thing about that. The life insurance companies figured this out a long time ago. So what they do now is if you take out a life insurance policy and it's a new policy, you're not eligible to be paid on that for like a year or something like that. Like some time's got to pass.
Right.
So even had she passed away in January, he wouldn't get the additional $1.5 million because it wouldn't have kicked in yet. But maybe that's why he's trying to kill her slowly.
Well, yeah, maybe so. And then I guess he could always hope that she'll pass and he'll collect, and you're a fucking idiot because you're not. Enjoy your prison time.
Yes. Brian Mann, we would vote you not a real man.
Yeah, pretty stupid, Brian. Actually, very stupid, Brian.
Speaking of stupid, here's the segue. We're now in the great state of Tennessee.
Oh, my God.
Where we meet Cop Party Girl.
Big Orange.
5 officers were fired and 3 others were suspended as a sex scandal rocked the Laverne, Tennessee Police Department. The 8 Laverne officers were disciplined earlier this week after an internal investigation found that there were multiple sexual encounters involving members of the second shift. The investigation revealed that Officer Megan Hall was intimately involved with several officers on her shift, both on and off the clock. Now, I'm staring at a picture of Megan Hall.
Yep.
Guys, come
She
on.
looks like my Sunday school teacher or something. I mean, she doesn't look like someone that would get wrapped up in that.
Yeah, well, you never know what drives people. She almost looks like a boy to me. But the deal on this whole thing is what cops do on their off days. I can assure you, it's the shift parties and all that stuff. They're going to do that anyway. But the problem.
Hey, ladies, are you feeling overwhelmed by hormonal changes? Well, you're definitely not alone. There are more than 1,000 hormone disruptors living in our environment right now. It's in your food, your water, the air you breathe, the clothes you wear, your skincare products. They all mess with your hormones. Then there's the natural hormone changes your body goes through, premenopause, menopause. And while it's a natural process, it doesn't mean you have to suffer through it. The good news is you don't have to suffer through it anymore because now you have Hormone Harmony, a formula made only with herbal ingredients that are shown to reduce hormonal symptoms in women of all ages. Hormone Harmony is not just a hormone support and supplement, it's become a phenomenon. Women can't stop talking about it on social media. A bottle of Hormone Harmony is sold every 24 seconds. And the biggest benefit? Well, my wife says it makes her feel like her own self again. And that's what women mention over and over in the reviews. And there are over 30,000 reviews for Hormone Harmony. And for a limited time, you can get 15% off your entire first order at happymammoth.com. Just use code RLRC at checkout. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC for 15% off today. That's happymammoth.com and use code RLRC. Hey y'all, let me tell you about Gobble. All Gobble meal kits are pre-prepped. That means less work for you and less waste in your kitchen. Their meal kits include everything you need so you can save time at the store or just skip that trip entirely. I got the box in and I had 3 different meals. I had a Kung Pao chicken, crispy fish tacos, and a beef bourguignon, however you say it. But let me tell you about the classic beef bourguignon. Look, it came with beef pot roast and a beef broth concentrate, red wine demi-glaze, cremini mushrooms, cipollone onions, mashed potatoes, baby carrots, and rosemary thyme butter. It was so easy to make. Literally like 15 minutes it took Cindy. And let me tell you something, all the dishes were fire, but this thing was like a taste explosion in my mouth. It's just unreal. We've got to spend more time together and more time doing the things we love because everything came in this one single box right to my door. So see what a difference Gobble will make for your household. Right now, they're offering my listeners a fantastic limited time deal. You get $120 off across 4 boxes plus free shipping and free cookies. And let me tell you, those cookies, I ate one that was sin baked and it was delicious. Go to gobble.com/reallife. That's GOBBLE.com/real-life for $120 off your first 4 boxes. This offer is not available on the home site, so don't miss out. This is genius. It's taste explosions in your mouth like you never had.
Is they're banging on Didi.
Yeah, and that's an issue. But a lot of what people are wrapping up in this article that I took out of it was the fact that off the clock stuff. You know, they really look what this girl chooses to do and who she chooses to screw is kind of her business off the clock. And if she's got 5 dudes and she's attracted to all 5 and she ain't got a problem doing it, you know, it's not against the law. Yeah, it was
parties, whatever. I mean, those are grown adults.
Right.
The problem is when you got to we used to call it breaking a limb. When you got to break a limb on duty.
That's an issue.
You know, you might be missing a crime or whatever. That's certainly malfeasance in office because you are having sexual intercourse, whatever type of way, when you're supposed to be protecting and serving. You're serving, but you're not protecting.
Yeah, I would
He's
say
definitely serving.
Yeah. It's not like this is a big ass department, y'all. I mean,
It might have been the whole department.
it was
pretty close.
most of the department.
I mean, like a doorknob, everybody gets a turn, right?
And where there's smoke, there's fire. If this much naughty stuff is going on off the clock,
and she admitted to it. The mayor started the investigation and all that, and one of the cops tried to lie about it, but he initially lied and he came back and admitted it. I guess he knew the gig was up, and they were also taking pictures and
Exchanging new photos.
And I bet you that was on department issue cell phones.
yeah, it seems like the off the clock stuff was really centered around football parties. That they would hold watch parties at different officers' houses. Or at a hotel, following an outing at a go-kart place. So there was some stuff going on outside of the day-to-day police work. But
When I started in law enforcement, Brother Pete Charlet had been a cop for years. He told me, he said, Woody, you need to keep at least one friend that's not a cop. And I said, why? He said, because you're going to get sucked into it. And the only people you're going to want to hang around with are other cops because they're the only ones that get you. And he was right. And every day off, especially when I was single, we ran together. We partied together. I mean, we didn't do shit on duty like that. But
off duty.
Think about this. This is a small department. I don't know exactly how many officers there were, but 5 of the officers, 5 of them, admitted to engaging in sexual acts with Hall. Hall also admitted to having sexual encounters with all 5 of the officers. Now, nobody likes sloppy seconds. But
how about fifths?
Sloppy fifths?
It's got to be worse than sloppy on that. It's got to be ruined fifth. It's got to be.
They must have a run on penicillin going on in that department.
I don't know. Hey, but you know what? Everybody got here because 2 people had a sex drive, right? But you shouldn't do it on duty. That's the moral of this story. I mean, I don't give a shit if she slept with everybody, the other 2 members in the department or whatever it may be. Whatever she does, that's her business, but you can't do your business on cop time.
Well, to that point, the Laverne Police Chief, Burl Chip Davis, said in a statement on Monday that this is a difficult situation for our department and for the city, but I want to be clear that the actions of a few do not represent this department as a whole. Well, Chip, if the few are your entire department?
Right. Hey, Chip, a few is defined as maybe 2, maybe 3. You got like 6 or 7 of them going at it.
Yeah, I want to meet the 1 or 2 officers that weren't participating.
Yeah, I'm sure they got some divorce lawyers that are being retained for services this week.
Jim, any final thoughts over there for the fine officers of Laverne, Tennessee?
Not really. I don't really have anything to add to that one.
It is what it is.
I don't want to beat her up too bad. I mean, she is a human.
Oh, well, and all of them are humans. They just shouldn't have been fucking on duty. And they wouldn't be in trouble.
Right. I agree.
Turning to a story as an Italian-American that you never like to see. The most wanted mafia boss in Italy was arrested after a 30-year search.
Matteo Messina Denaro is an Italian mob boss who has been wanted, y'all, for like 30 years. So it's hard to hide for 3 days in this day and time with technology the way it is. You see what happened with the Idaho murderer. They can just about track him from the killings back to his house. This guy went on the lam for 30 years. And look, the Sicilian mob is no joke. They're legit. This guy is responsible for tons of killings, extortion, you name it. And Cosa Nostra is less strong today because he is captured, hopefully.
The Black Hand out of Sicily is less. But you know what? This dude didn't just get away with it for 30 years. He was paying somebody to protect him.
Good point.
Or they were paying the combination of, if we tell where he's at, we're going to get killed good, kill him good, as Mike would say. But he certainly had protection, but it's not the same times it was 30 years ago. You can't get away with it anymore.
Well, one of the saddest pieces here is that one of the crimes he's charged with is the murder and torture of the 11-year-old son of an enemy who gave evidence against the Sicilian Cosa Nostra. And for all of my life growing up Italian in America, there's a code of conduct where women, children are untouchable in these kinds of situations. And so it looks like our friend Matteo, assuming he's guilty of that crime, went way outside the boundaries that they operate in.
Well, interesting. Yeah, at least he had 30 years.
Yeah, and he also, in addition to that, he received a life sentence in 2020 for a bombing that he was a part of in Milan, a fatal bombing, and was the orderer of just dozens of murders.
Way more than we'll ever know.
Yeah. And was given a life sentence for that. So it took
in absentee. Yeah. I mean, he wasn't even there. They tried him.
Right. And when they tracked him down, this was around 10 a.m. Sicily time. They conducted a raid with over 100 agents. Obviously, they needed an army to take him down. They really didn't know what they were going to be looking at when they got there. And it might have been a scene from Scarface where, he's in a mansion and he's just shooting and let me shoot to my little friend. One of the best scenes of all time, incidentally.
Ever. Don't get high on your own supply.
Don't get high. One more Quaalude and she'll love me in the morning.
Take another Quaalude, she'll love me. Look at the pretty pelicans flying, pelican flying. Those are the flamingos.
First you get the money. First you get the powder.
Fuck this guy.
You get the woman.
Prison, right?
Yeah.
I don't even know if they have the death penalty. I'm not sure if they do. He'll get it.
Well, here's the interesting thing. When they were tracking him for all these years, they actually were seizing assets as they went. So they would kind of follow him to different spots. By the time they would get there, he would find out they were on his trail and move, but he would leave behind assets. They ended up seizing around $3 billion worth of assets during this 30-year manhunt.
Yeah. He's still making his money today. Obviously he was killing and continuing this criminal enterprises, narcotics, whatever the fuck they were doing. He had to have a source of income for 30 years.
Yeah. Well, he's behind bars now.
Well, we'll see how that works. Maybe El Chapo and escape.
Through a hole in the ground.
Several times.
Last week's segment was so popular, we are back again with another bad guy birthday. This week, we're saying happy birthday to Al Capone. And who better to follow up our story about the Sicilian mobster captured after 30 years than to celebrate the birthday of Al Capone, who, had he lived, would have turned 124 years old today.
Wow. and just as popular today,
Right.
as he was then.
There are no gangsters in Chicago.
But he actually died in 1947 at just 48 years of age.
Yep. A little bit of syphilis on the brain, I believe.
Yep.
A New Yorker at birth who moved to Chicago to become the leader of the Chicago outfit that dominated during Prohibition.
He would have never came to power as anything other than petty criminal had they not started Prohibition. And they used that opportunity to give the people what they wanted, and they were going to get anyway, which is alcohol.
That's right. And he was also a world famous prisoner in Alcatraz.
Yeah. But back to it when he started the Prohibition, I mean, he's pretty much a genius, right? I mean, he gave the people what they wanted, but then they established these. He didn't just do it in Chicago. They established these routes through all the major cities, and even from the hills or from Canada or from the hollers where they were making the shine. So they had all these routes now, and all these people were on payroll, all these officials they were paying off, et cetera. And so when Prohibition ended, they still had these open corridors, these proven methods of committing the crime, and they just swapped it to other things, whether it be prostitution or narcotics or whatever.
And I will say that no one is celebrating harder today than Geraldo Rivera.
What they don't know, y'all probably don't know, and I was so hyped up to watch this in mid 80s or whenever it was. It was a 2020 special.
Yes, Al Capone's vaults.
They found Al Capone's secret vault, and Geraldo decided he was going to open it on live national TV, and they did it, and they went on, and they broke through the wall, and they did the whole thing, and I think they found like 2 Coke bottles.
Found like a wine bottle from...
Yeah.
Good job, Geraldo. All right, a little trivia for you guys. The Capone story was told in the 1987 film The Untouchables.
One of my favorites.
Great movie.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's see.
Star-studded
Let's
cast.
see how you are on your Untouchables trivia.
All right.
Who played Elliot Ness?
Kevin Costner.
1-0. Woody's ahead. Come on, Jim.
I don't have a buzzer.
Who played Al Capone?
Damn it, I'm bad with names. I can't think of it.
That's sad because he was the main
was really
character.
good.
and
No, but it was
I don't
good.
think
He was a
anybody
good
could tell you who played him. Curious.
Who was it?
We default.
Very chubby for the role, Robert De Niro.
Oh, that's why I knew it was from De Niro. Yeah.
Can't believe you guys
great
missed
role.
De Niro.
Great role.
And
They love the scene that around the dinner table where all the associates are there, and he takes the bat out and beats the guy's brains out.
That was great.
and close personal friend of mine happened to play the role of George Stone.
Andy Garcia.
There
you go. Great scene in the train station at the end where he's holding the baby carriage up and
got him.
Pow.
Yeah.
Great movie.
Love Andy
If you
Garcia.
haven't, go out and see The Untouchables today.
Yep. Yeah. All right. Celebrate.
Happy
Really,
birthday.
it was a
Happy birthday.
really
Al
cool
Capone.
movie. But we'd be remiss if we didn't say how they got him. All the shit they tried to get him on Prohibition and everything else, he had people paid off. Every time they did raids, it was, they were warned ahead of time. But they actually got his tax guy or his book guy to flip on him, and they did him on federal income tax evasion charges, sentenced to the federal prison at Alcatraz, and supposedly they allowed him to have a prostitute come in, conjugal visits, and the theory is that the government knew this lady had whether it was syphilis or gonorrhea or whatever, and they gave it to him, and they didn't give him the treatment for it, and he's released. He retires to Miami, but they said pretty much his brain was mush at the time. He ended up dying from that, complications of that.
It's insane, though, when you wrap your mind around it. A gangster that could have died 1,000,000 times before that ends up dying by syphilis.
Yeah.
A sexually transmitted
That's
disease.
a pretty shitty way to go, though.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you lose your mind from what I understand. And,
There's an outbreak.
Probably couldn't
in
happen to a nicer
Tennessee
guy.
this
Yeah, Laverne, Tennessee. Better
That
be
is
lying.
so.
You better get you some shots, Phil.
That poor girl.
Maybe she's
So sweet.
maybe
She
she
looks
used
like the girl next door.
maybe she used dental dams.
Oh my God.
Episode of Kenny Powers until the girl said, I'm gonna need you to use this dental dam. And she's like, fuck you, Kenny.
I love that show. He's bound and down.
He said, hey, it's for your protection.
That is the funniest show of all time.
It really is.
Oh man.
Mike, if you ever
Well,
watched it, I'll turn you onto it.
Let's wrap this episode with
Dental dams.
a bit of a sad story.
Can we get a dental dam
Bring it down.
sponsor?
Let's bring it down from dental dams,
All
and
right. I'm behaving.
we're going to talk about the youngest execution ever. It's a sad story that reminds us that it wasn't that long ago, and it's good to think about stuff like this in light of the national holiday yesterday in Martin Luther King Jr.'s honor.
And we just dropped a episode last week on Bloody Angola, a companion show on last meals on famous executions.
Yes, we did.
Very interesting.
Well, we go back in the time machine a little bit for this one, but on June 16th, 1944, the state of South Carolina executed George Stinney Jr. He was 14 years, 6 months, and 5 days old at the time, the youngest person ever executed in the United States in the 20th century. Stinney, who was black, was convicted of murdering 2 white girls, Betty June Binnicker, age 11, and Mary Emma Thames, age 8, with a railroad spike. The trial lasted 3 hours, and the all-white jury deliberated for 10 minutes before sentencing George Stinney
And
to his
how,
death in the electric chair.
in the electric chair.
And it was just 6 weeks later that guards strapped him into the electric chair. He was 5'1" and weighed just over 90 pounds.
Wow.
And during the electrocution, the jolt shook the adult size mask he was wearing right off of his head.
Wow.
I'm curious to know how what weight and size Mary and Betty were when he was stabbing them with railroad
They
spikes.
were a little bit younger than, who knows? I mean, I hope this isn't an injustice, right? I mean, somebody else could have killed him and blamed it on him, and certainly all white jury and your young black male killed 2 young white girls. Oh, they were going to kill his ass.
Well, it was interesting back then, and me and Woody have done many episodes on Bloody Angola about executions during that time.
Right.
And I mean, they didn't play around. If you were sentenced to death, it was like within 3 months you were done. The appeals process lasted about a day.
Yeah.
And you got executed. Nowadays, if you're sentenced to an execution, you never get executed.
Nope.
You die of old age first.
Right. It's
So I found
the
that
state
interesting.
spends millions and millions of dollars in
millions.
incarcerating you for that time
millions.
period.
the incarceration is what costs so much. It's the appeals,
The trial,
process, the afterwards. Your 28 years on death row is because there's an active appeal going on, and it costs millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars. 28 years of lawyers, fuck, I don't even like talking to a lawyer for 2 minutes.
And then, and then not to mention the feeding and housing, just the food over 28 years' time. I mean, you're looking at a chunk of change. It's insane. But you want to get it right. I get that.
Right. I don't know
28 years, though.
about this 14-year-old executed. I mean, I'm for the death penalty. I'm not for it if it's wrong.
Yeah.
Well, and in 1944, almost 80 years ago,
If you're accused,
Mr. Stinney did not have the rights he would have today to a jury of his peers. That was clearly not a jury of his peers.
yeah, all white on black in South Carolina, accused of killing 2 white girls. They were going to kill him for sure, and they did. I wonder.
And he may very well have done it, but,
yeah.
was
I don't even know.
due process received?
I'm pretty sure
Don't think so.
they were just short of get a rope, right? I mean, I don't know. It's a tough one.
I hate to wrap it up on a bummer.
Well, then we should talk about Real Life Real Crime and Bloody Angola. Let's talk about Bloody Angola Live.
Yes. We just sold out 2 shows, Friday night and Saturday night. Shout out Southeastern and Crystal.
Well, wait,
Bars.
tell them what it is. You got to assume people ain't never heard of Bloody Angola.
Oh, you're right. The Bloody Angola is a podcast
All about the most notorious, largest, and bloodiest maximum security prison in the United States, which is Louisiana State Penitentiary at Angola.
I thought you were going to say podcast 142 years in the making, and I was going to say my part.
Oh,
Well, y'all tune in, you'll hear it. But we open the show the same way every time. Mad success, crazy. Every episode is different, and now we're doing 3 drops a week instead of 1, and it's always something different. Very entertaining to me. It's entertaining because the criminal mind fascinates me, and it's just fire. And the numbers prove it. Y'all proving that. We're always up there in documentaries and Apple Podcasts. And if you haven't
checked it out, go check it out.
Subscribe, like it, and leave us a review and all that good stuff. Because it's good.
You guys were great. Great.
Mike got to come, and
we're talking about Bloody Angola Live right now. We did a live podcast where we told the story of the Angola 5 in a
actually
horrible
Captain
murder.
David Knapp's the victim.
Yes, in a horrible murder that took place in 1999 at Louisiana State Penitentiary of a captain, correctional officer, and also, and we definitely don't want to forget about them. There was 2 other hostages involved in that situation who, although they lived and were blessed to live, I'm sure it completely changed their life. And so we told that story, and it was very successful. We sold out 2 nights, and so we look forward to doing more.
Yeah, when we say live podcast, y'all, I think, I've been doing Real Life Real Crime and the Crew Bash for years now. I think people have a misconception that we're sitting behind a desk, sitting behind a microphone. It's not like that. It's pretty much a crowd interactive show. We are facing the audience. We're standing the whole time, and we had a lot of great stuff that Jim put together for it. It was awesome. We thank everybody for coming out, and we'll do another one again in the future.
It was great. And for me, maybe the best part was getting to meet fans that had come, some from pretty
we had
far
Tennessee,
distances.
Houston, Dallas, all over. Yeah.
All really, really passionate about Bloody Angola, also really passionate about Real Life Real Crime. Also, a few mentioned listening to this little show.
Absolutely did, yeah. Hey, I was getting my hair done by my stylist, if you can believe that. Actually, she's a barber. That morning, Friday morning, and she was talking about Chabusiness, right? They love the new show, show.
When my stylist was doing my hair, she was also talking about Chabusiness. Should I say buffing my head?
Well, in their honor, we'll open episode 5 with an update on Chabusiness.
Yes, got to talk about that.
Let's wrap this one up, boys.
I'm Jim Chapman.
I'm Woody Overton.
And I'm Mike Agavino.
And we'll see you on Friday with another Real Life, Real Crime Daily. Peace.